Right now is probably the best time in a while to be a fan of action RPGs. The developers are cooking, the gamers are eating. It's as simple as that. If you're into the ARPG genre of top-down, monster-slaying looter games, then you're most certainly
My biggest concern with PoE is how it's going to play on my computer. Honestly, like, it feels like my computer is becoming really, really old really fast. And I have, like, comparatively a really fucking good computer compared to the people I know around me, compared to some of my friends. My computer's extremely good, but I feel like the older I get every year, it feels like every year, like, leagues and leagues behind. So I'm hoping that it plays fine with me.
At the seams.
We'll see.
Luckily, you're primed to loot some new, better pants anyways. If you aren't playing these games, now is the absolute best time to set everything else aside and join the buffet to grind these games down with the rest of us. Let's talk about 3 of the biggest, best, and coolest games in the genre right now and why they each deserve your time. The developers of games like Diablo 4, Path of Exile, Last Epoch, and soon Path of Exile 2 are seriously competing in a brutal war for your engagement. Grinding Gear Games has been hard at work crafting a fully fledged sequel to Path of Exile, a game that's been going strong for more than a decade and even recently hit an all-time peak, not just in concurrent player counts, but in the quality of new content as well.
Yeah, streaming at the same time is brutal, man. And I'm not just streaming at the same time, I'm also, like, streaming my fucking VTuber model. My VTuber model plus streaming plus game, it means my computer's gonna die, like... That's the biggest problem I'm having right now, is I really need a second PC. Like, I need a stream PC to like, upgrade how things work, because otherwise, games are going to keep having these problems.
While Blizzard has spent the last year reacting to critical feedback from its fan base to turn Diablo 4 around and introduce...
expansion is good. The game is in a good spot. Was the expansion a good expansion? No. It was pretty mid. It's pretty meh overall. But the game itself, solid.
Meteor in-game iterations that keep players satisfied. And we're not just getting ARPGs from legendary, iconic game studios. There's also the newcomer, Last Epoch from 11th Hour Games.
I need to play Last Epoch, man. I wanted to play it, I just never got around to it.
Studio that built a hit game that was mostly birthed out of a Reddit conversation. See, about 8 years ago, Reddit user MoxJet200 made a post on the social media forum asking for input from other ARPG fans on what features would make for a great entry to the genre. That user, Judd Cobbler, is now founder and CEO of 11th Hour Games, the developers of Last Epoch, a studio with talent from all over the world working to keep this game going. While there are other notable ARPGs out there in the wild,
I think the
Diablo
only
4
problem with Last Epoch is that it's not free to play. I think to compete in a market like this, compared to like D4, like D4 is what it is because it's got the Blizzard power, right? The Blizzard like advertisement power. Last Epoch being pay to play, like, it hurts it. Like, if it was free to play, then people would be able to go into it and enter it and like get an idea of what they like about it. But like getting into a new ARPG is hard, especially since they demand so much time from you.
Path of Exile and Last Epoch come together to keep us well fed throughout the year with regular seasonal or league content updates. Let's talk about Diablo 4, a game that managed to have a significant redemption arc after many players dismissed it shortly after launch and a few unfavorable seasonal releases. When Diablo 4 first released back in 2023, it felt slow and monster density was about as low as player morale. The game quickly came under fire for its lackluster in-game design, especially compared to other ARPGs that's been released since Diablo 3, which effectively altered how players engaged in these types of games. Blizzard has been quick to react, releasing season after season of meaningful content updates that stuck around permanently in the game.
I wouldn't say quick. I think quick is probably the wrong words to use here. It was not quick. It took a long time.
This feels like a direct result of healthy competition in the genre. While grinding gear games implemented new ways to ease the quality of life in the endgame with Settlers of Calgar and the introduction of gold and auto mappers, Blizzard shook up the very fabric of their game to change its pace, the weight of their itemization, and overall relevance of content. Meaningful releases are necessary to maintain players over the course of their seasons. Otherwise, player numbers dwindle as they have other avenues to satisfy the craving of deleting hordes of monsters on their screen.
Seasons aren't supposed to keep your attention for the entire season. Seasons are supposed to be like very front loaded. Like you play like for 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a little bit more than that, and then you swap over to something else. It's like it's not supposed to be something that you dedicate your entire season to. You can, but it's not. I don't feel like ARPGs are meant to be played like that. They're meant to be played in spurts, and you're supposed to get into it. If you get into it, if you don't play longer, it's awesome. But like, you're not meant to no life it forever. Like that's just not how it's meant to be played, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be made like that either. Mid-season patches are really bad. It's a really bad idea. You should not put patches in mid-season because people aren't playing anymore. Like, by the time a mid-season patch comes in, most people aren't playing it at that point.
So, if you were one of the many action RPG fans let down by Diablo 4 early on, it's definitely worth a second look now. Diablo 4 Season 5's Infernal Horde's in-game activity is a perfect example of Blizzard listening to player feedback. Players asked for monster density, players got monster density. Jumping into the Infernal Hordes feels like a completely different game than what we got with Diablo 4's vanilla release. Another
Infernal
clue
Hordes
that
is really good. The content itself, though, like, and how you obtain the content is, I don't like it. I don't like how content bleeds into one another. I don't like how you have to do other things to play the part of the content that you like. It's one of the things I like about PoE the most, is that if you want to go do a certain in-game activity, you can just go do it, right? But in Diablo, for the most part, you have to do a lot of other things to do the content that you like, and I'm not a big fan of that. I don't like it when content like forces you to participate in things that you're not interested in. That's my biggest concern, or my biggest like complaint about whatever tier you're in. I mean, obviously you could say that and say, oh yeah, well then no one will do anything else. But I mean, honestly, like if everything else is not worth doing, then it's not fun to do, then why the fuck is it even there, right? You need to patch it and adjust it and make it fun. There's like 4 things in Diablo that are really not fun, and like 2 things that are fun. And like that's the problem, right? Like more things need to be enjoyable during a patch cycle.
Competition is key. Look, I get it. Diablo 4 doesn't need to be another Path of Exile with a different skin. In fact, it shouldn't be. However, it's refreshing to see that a company the size of Blizzard has been backed so far into a corner that the core gameplay loop of their game is almost unrecognizable. And that's nothing but a good thing for us. I've been playing Diablo 4 seasons longer than I ever have. Raid-like content? Check. The Undercity, an infinite grindable activity where you can target farm loot? Check. I'm more motivated to chase that next upgrade and actually want to take on the uber bosses. Doesn't all feel aimless anymore.
Welcome to King's March!
Meanwhile, Path of Exile's recent Settlers of Calgar released with such high praise from fans that it set a new bar for League content quality. You can't help but thank such competition for allowing it to happen.
And Settlers of Calgar was them testing out currency options for PoE 2.
5 update for Path of Exile was time-consuming in the best way possible, and surely has to be a response to the growing split attention. The fact is that they are doing more to entice you to play their game. They have to be reactive, they have to be innovative, and they have to be creative, and it's working. My jaw legitimately dropped when Grinding Gear showed off all the quality of life updates and new content during the Settlers of Calgar reveal livestream. What do you mean you can hire NPCs to grind while I grind? It was a dream come true for a dream I didn't even know I had. There have been nothing but promising updates for Path of Exile 2, and this most recent release for its predecessor gives me nothing but faith in what's waiting for us in the sequel.
I love how well telegraphed that is, man. Like,
recent release for its
Flame
predecessor,
on, an ability's coming, he's gonna wind up.
Gives me nothing.
That's so clean. Like, I love how clean that is, bro. Like, it's so nice.
but faith in what's waiting for us in the sequel. Not only will Grinding Gear Games be continually adding content to Path of Exile,
man. Like, I can't stress it enough.
In the sequel. Not only will Grinding Gear Games be
Charge
continually
is nice. These effects are
adding
really
content
clean.
to Path of Exile 2.
Animations
they will also
of the character.
still support
my
the
biggest
original
problem
Path
with
of
PoE 1's animations is like the character animations are fucking terrible. Like, they're so bad, and it takes me out of the game. It takes me a while to like get used to it and like get blend it away. Like, and if you've been playing PoE for a while, it probably doesn't bother you at all. But like when you play a game like Diablo, even Diablo 3, right? They have better character animations than PoE 1. Character animations are fucking terrible. So I'm really happy with how clean PoE 2 looks. Like, that shit pulls you into it and keeps you in.
Exile with regular leagues as normal. They've even alluded to porting back features that they add in Path of Exile 2. Features like gold, the currency trade market, and more prominent health bars have already been added. So not only will Grinding Gear be in constant competition with other developers,
I just can't, like, this looks so good.
Also be competing with themselves.
Here lie the answers you seek.
But what about the little guys? 11th Hour Games are still here. Their 1.0 launch for Last Epoch was insanely popular with high concurrent counts. While Last Epoch did suffer from major server and connectivity issues, the game was still an excellent grind. Their monolith endgame mapping system, while still a little shallow, has so much potential for the addition of depth and player engagement. Soon after launch, Last Epoch got its 1.1 update, Harbingers of Ruin. Sure, the update wasn't as massive as something Grinding Gear Games or Blizzard could pull off, but it shows the devs' commitment to the game that was made by devoted fans of the genre.
Like, I think it's a good game. I think that honestly, like, this game is probably really, really solid. It's just the fact that it's not, you can't just play the game for free.
It's silent at the moment on content updates, but the imminent release of Path of Exile and Diablo 4's ongoing seasons likely play a role here. As I mentioned, they're the little guys. They need more time to cook. In Grinding Gears Games' recent Path of Exile 2 livestream, they blew the lid off most
I don't know what
aspects
the story
of the game.
is. At all. I don't know the story at all for Path of Exile.
One of these aspects being their new Atlas mapping endgame system, which, if you peer closely, it looks eerily similar to Last Epoch's Monolith system, an infinite mapping system where if you die, you'll be locked out of rewards. Of course, it can be argued that Path of Exile's Delve was the actual inspiration for Grinding Gears Games' new Atlas iteration, but I like the narrative that developers are just sharing.
Dude, these animations are so fucking good, dude. It's so good. Like, it's wild how good that is.
Now because they love and need our attention. Anyways, you hungry yet? Luckily, the sweet ambrosial allure of this genre is hearty enough to keep you well fed. When one game is on the downswing, but you're still looking to scratch that lootin' and slayin' itch, ARPG games are aplenty and of excellent quality. Diablo games, the Path of Exiles, Grim Dawn, the Torchlight series, Lost Ark, the list goes on. The genre has never been better than it is now. It's a space in gaming where the developers are truly getting the meaning of live service and what it takes to keep players engaged and happy. And to that we say, keep them coming. How do you feel about the current state of ARPGs? Are you excited for the future of playing through classics from the past? Let us know in the comments below, and for more monster killing and mindless looting, check out our build guides for Diablo 4's Spiritborns, and stick around for all the latest on Path of Exile 2. And of course, for everything else, keep it here.
Honestly, PoE 2 is gonna be so fucking good, man. I'm so excited for tomorrow.